everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. This is going to be a little bit of a different video today. I wanted to sit and talk with you a little bit about my choice of starting my own website and transitioning primarily off of selling on Etsy to selling on my own website shop. A few weeks ago, I announced that I would be leaving predominantly Etsy and moving to my own website, which I had already had for numerous years. I just hadn't been selling there. And I got actually quite a few emails of people contacting me saying, why did you leave? And what was the process like? And so I wanted to make a video to explain kind of where I'm coming from, because one, I don't want people to think that selling on Etsy is not a good thing or not feasible. But two, I just wanted to explain and share with you kind of where I was coming from and what my thought process was. I do still have my paint stands and my magnets on Etsy, but all of my paintings I have transitioned over to my web shop. So this video is going to be a little bit of an explanation of why that happened. And also, I don't want anyone to think, like I said, that, Etsy is a bad place to sell. You've got to make that decision on your own. And it's really going to depend on, what following you have and where you get your traffic for your sales from, and how okay you are with the fees and the cost of everything. So it's really going to be an individualized choice. So a little disclaimer before I start the video, these are my own views, my own opinions. I am not confirming any, validity of allegations on Etsy or anything like that, but this is just kind of my story of what happened. So I guess I want to kind of take you back to the beginning of my journey to explain how I chose to start selling my artwork and how I ended up on Etsy. And then I'll lead you through kind of the evolution to how I got to my own web shop as well. So to give you a little kind of background, I started my YouTube channel just at night when I was painting. I would video my paintings, and I started that over 6 years ago. And before that, I had only had the YouTube account to watch videos and a Facebook account. I didn't even have Instagram. I didn't have any other social media. I had no idea how to build a website or anything like that at all. I didn't even know how to use YouTube, really. Maybe I'll do a video on that. That was a whole other process of learning. But so I didn't really have a following. I had just started a platform and really didn't have that many followers. So I made a commission piece for a friend of mine, and I really was only selling to friends and family at the time because, again, I didn't really have visibility anywhere. So friends asked me to make a painting for them, and I made a triptych, an ocean triptych for them. And while I was over, he had actually worked in website design, so he helped me set up a business email, which actually was just Gmail at the time. I have since actually set up a business email. And he helped me set up a website to actually run the website and to keep it active and updated. He had offered to do that, but it was going to be a little bit costly. And I say costly because at the time I had no additional money. I wasn't really making revenue. So I didn't have any additional money from my art to put towards that. And so his price was actually really reasonable, as I found out in later years. But I didn't have the money to spend on that right now. So we set up the website and I kind of just let it sit there. I finally, after selling some paintings on social media and some paintings just again through friends and family, I think by this time I had done my first art show. That sold really well. I decided to start my Etsy store. At the time, it was for handmade products. I was selling paintings. It seemed like a perfect fit. I had been a consumer of Etsy and thought, okay, why not set up a seller store? It was free to do. The cost per listing was, I think at the time, it might still be this, 20 cents. And then that renews every few months. So it was relatively cheap to get started. And I could link people to my store. And the fees at the time when I started actually weren't that bad. If you are selling something and using a credit card, they're going to charge you a fee. PayPal charges you a fee to sell. So there were fees to sell things online everywhere. So I thought, you know, this isn't that bad. So I set up my store on Etsy, and I had made a few sales from there, and I was super excited about that. And again, the fees weren't that bad. So I was like, yes, here we go. In the meantime, after I had set up that website, I actually met who is now one of my really great, amazing friends, Rinske Douna, and she was a web designer as well, and she does and did beautiful work for websites. So she actually offered to help me out as well. And again, maintenance was up to me, but she set up a beautiful website for me. It was through WordPress, and I slowly started to learn how to do things on the website. Again, it wasn't a priority for me since I was selling in other places and I was really putting my focus on YouTube and content creation and making those videos and really still painting. I still to this day paint for my own mental health. Like it's still fun to me. I truly enjoy it. So she created and helped me create that website. And then again, maintenance was up to me. And I had looked at selling on my own website, but Nexus fees, tax remittance, and shipping, trying to figure all of that out, it was just too much for me at the time. And Etsy was doing all of those things for me for minimal fees. So I thought I'm just going to keep going this way for now. And, you know, we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. So now I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So later on in that same year, I decided to create, let me see if I have some, my paint stands that I make. And I wasn't even sure at the beginning if I could sell these on Etsy, but I created these. They are actually manufactured, but I created the concept for them. I designed them. I had a tool made to make them. They're not 3D printed, but I made these stands. So I put them on as a product in my store. And again, this is on me. This is my own deficiencies in the education, but I took pre-orders for them and I let people purchase them from my store, made a big announcement, and I sold a lot of them. And the need was, the demand was very high at the time, but I didn't yet quite have my supply. I was placing my order based off of my pre-orders. Little did I know that if you have a lot of orders and you don't ship them out on Etsy, then they see that and it triggers them to basically put a pause, or at least for my store, they put a pause on my store. So I could not sell anything. I'm not even sure about visibility at the time, but I didn't have my store shut down, but they paused it. And that was really scary to me. So I did a little bit more research and I started printing the labels for them, fulfilling the shipping on them. Again, people knew that these were pre-orders, that they weren't going to get their package right when they ordered. But it was a learning curve for me. It was a learning experience. And I was so worried that my store was going to be shut down. And that was another kind of inkling to me, like maybe I need to move to my own website. But I was having really great sales there. And so I kind of, again, pushed it to the side and didn't think about it anymore. I also noticed when going on vacation, I would put my store on vacation mode. And when you do that, because I was so worried about getting these products, my paintings shipped out in time, if I was gone for 7 days and my shipping window was, 3 to 5 business days, because they tell you to have lower processing wait times and that your products may be potentially more visible. Don't quote me on that, but they have all these kind of like little tiny rules and regulations for you. So I was always worried, like I need to to be competitive, I need to keep my wait times short and my shipping times short. But at the same time, if I'm gone for a week, I can't physically be there to send the painting out. And I'm the only one that wraps my paintings and sends them out. So I would put my store on vacation mode so that I wouldn't get like in trouble. And when I would do that, people can search your store, but it's not actually visible. Your store's not visible. So it's not going to go into the recommendations. And if people have a link to your store or specifically search your store name, it will show up, but otherwise not. So then that was another thing that I was like, gosh, that is a barrier for me. So I did a little bit more research again, and a lot of these things are education, on me that I should have done. And I would just adjust my shipping time so that my store would stay visible, but I would be true to whatever time. So it would be 7 to 10 business days to ship out. And if you've used Etsy, they monitor when the order came in and they tell you should ship it by this date. And if you don't, they have started kind of, I don't want to say penalizing you, but they start to affect the badges that they give you, which I'll talk about a little bit later as well. So going on vacation mode and going on vacation and always worrying about my shop and stuff like that, that was yet another kind of issue or flag that came up to me that was like, maybe I should be shifting over. As platforms do, Etsy started to kind of evolve. They started to, gimmick is the word that's coming to mind, but it's not a gimmick. But for sellers, they started to really push certain ideas. So one of those ideas, for example, was free shipping. So they said, your product will, for example, be more visible if you offer free shipping, or, you'll get this promotion or whatever it may be. And for me, shipping is a big cost. So if I'm shipping, a painting and it's going to cost me $50, $100 to ship that painting, that is something that I had never assumed the cost of myself. That's normally on the buyer. And so there were some recommendations, like just added into the price of shipping, added into the price of the painting. And for me, that seemed, I don't want to say deceptive, but like I didn't want to say it's free shipping when really it's not free shipping. Like the cost of my painting actually didn't cost this amount of money. So that was another thing. I just made the decision, you know what, I'm going to drive sales, traffic to my page myself. And so I chose to not opt in for their free shipping deals. They wanted you, it was over like $35 or $40. They wanted you to offer free shipping. So I decided not to do that on my products and my paintings. And still, with that choice, I was still doing fine. I was still getting sales. People were still finding me. I personally was driving traffic to my store through the links that I was sharing out. And so everything was still running fine at that time. Then they started a program that was a marketing program. So they said that they would start marketing you with offsite ads, meaning they would pay for Etsy ads on different platforms. And if anybody found you through their links, then they were going to start charging you marketing fees. And you could actually not opt out of this if you had a certain amount of sales from your store when it first started. So I think there was some pushback with that from sellers, and what they ended up doing is offering a share and save link. So they created a link to your store where you yourself could share that specific link. And if somebody used that link, then you wouldn't get paid. I mean, you wouldn't get charged the fees that Etsy would charge for offsite ads. And I actually started paying attention to which products were offsite, which products had specific fees, and really started looking that up. And Etsy actually makes it pretty easy and transparent to see where those fees are coming from when you're selling an item. And you would see this, I'm just making this up, but for a, $10 item, you would see $1 gone for this, 50 cents for this, $1 for using their shipping app, $1 for this. And then you would realize, like, man, that's a pretty large margin from fees that I was losing. And so that share and save was great because those fees, those extra fees, besides the base fees, wouldn't normally be there. So I had a customer that went to my website, which I had my Etsy store on my website. And at this point, I was doing a lot more with my website. I was getting better at it. I was watching videos, becoming more proficient. So I had linked when I said shop, I linked through my link and share and save link to my Etsy. So she went to my website, then went to my Etsy using that link. So I shouldn't have gotten charged a fee, and she bought something. And I didn't get charged the extra fee. But then she went back and bought a lot of stuff because she liked the painting that she got. And when she did that, I saw over $100 of fees come out. So I contacted Etsy and I contacted her and said, did you purchase through like some, ad that you saw? And she said, no, I went to your website just like I did the first time. So I contacted Etsy and they said, if somebody uses the share and save link, and again, this is just my wording of what they said on the help chat, which is not very helpful, surprise. They said that if they come back to the store again within a specified amount of time, I think they said it was 30 days, that they would consider that their marketing because the platform brought them back, and that they did charge those fees and they refused to give those fees back to me. I was so upset at that time. I remember, and I was probably a little inappropriate. I was like, I'm leaving your platform. This is ridiculous. And, this is affecting, we're people, we're humans, and this is affecting our revenue. And so I didn't leave at the time. I said that. I fumed over it. I was upset. I thought about it, and I was still so afraid of trying to figure out setting up my own web shop. And let me tell you, spoiler alert, when I did it, yes, it took me time. Yes, it was, it wasn't super easy or intuitive for me because I'm not that great with computers, but I did it and it was fine. And it didn't take me that long, but I just had this inertia to move towards that. And, the change was just large for me, and I was afraid of losing the customer base as well. So that was yet another, those marketing fees and kind of all those backdoor kind of hidden type things. That was just yet another, and the interaction with customer service. It was just yet another thing that kind of had me like deep in my heart, like, okay, maybe I should really start thinking now to transition. Another thing that bothered me a little bit, and I saw this really from the beginning. As I started to grow, I would go and do SEO research, or I would go and search different products. I would see how people were taking photos. I was just doing, my own educational research. And when I would type my name in to the search bar, I would get all kinds of paintings that are not made by me. And I don't know for sure, but I think what was happening is people were putting my name into their SEO. And that was a little disheartening for me because I'm like, people are searching for Molly's artistry. There's all these other stores coming up when you search for it that are not my store, that are not my painting, and they're not even serving up my own paintings and products, even though I have it in my own SEO as well. It was like a mixture. So I didn't really care for that very much. I will be doing a kind of mistakes I made video as well. If you all want to see it, you can let me know. And you can let me know if you like this type of content at all, since it's not my regular painting video. But when I made my paint stands and put that up as a product, there were a lot of 3D printer people that started making my product. And at the time, I didn't have, when I first came out with it, I didn't have the patent on it. And it was so upsetting, and there was nothing that, you know, Etsy could do about it. They were making this product, and there was nothing that I could do about it either. But that was just another, and that would have happened anyway. That's not the platform's fault. That's my own fault. But it was just yet another thing that was just kind of like irked me a little bit. Like, these people are, you know, I thought up this specific design. I took all this time to design it and make it, and here we are. Another thing that happened is people will search Etsy and pretend to be you on other platforms. So I had a seller on Amazon that took all of my Etsy photos. And again, this is not the platform's fault. Took all of my Etsy photos and was selling my painting, even though they don't have my painting. So I contacted Amazon, and they took care of it. I filed a complaint, and they took the products down. But it was just so scary to have your stuff out there, and somebody else is going to steal and not deliver on the product because they didn't have the physical painting. Now, again, that's not really related to Etsy, because they could do that with my own website as well. And who knows, there could be people out there right now doing it, and I just haven't caught it yet. But it was, again, just another kind of being online type of thing that I had never encountered before. Etsy started to become very saturated. There were lots of fluid artists on there as well, and the price ranges were so different on things. There were very low-priced items. There were super high-priced items, and it became saturated just in general. And saturation is not a reason not to sell your things. You are unique as an artist. You build your own community, and people purchase because of you a lot of times, not necessarily because of this one piece. So, saturation is not necessarily a deterrent. But again, I wanted to be able to drive people to a specific site that has just my work on it, and not kind of a sea of other options, really, choices, really, choice overload. Like, you want people to see your stuff, make a purchase, and that's it. But also, Etsy started having a lot of like print on demand, which is nothing wrong with that. There were a lot of that I saw, like drop shipping. It almost started to look a little bit like Amazon or eBay for sometimes when I would scroll through it. And I think that kind of flooding and saturation of the market for people that were actually making handmade items, I think that was really disheartening as well to a lot of people. And it definitely was, again, gave me that kind of feeling inside, like, So then they started making these badges and these like automated, almost AI type, like stars for you, these badges. And they would look at things like, are you shipping on time, which they were already doing? Are you selling a lot of products? Do you have good reviews? Are you responding to messages? And little did I know, and again, when these changes happen, you should read the entire terms and service and policies when they come out with them. And they are required to give those to you when they change them, I think. So when these badges came out, I thought, okay, great, because my badges, I was earning them, everything was good, until I hurt my back last year. And you all probably didn't see that because I had videos saved up and I went to physical therapy for it, but I hurt my back very badly. And I was unable to really do anything. I couldn't stand up or walk for a little while. And I finally started getting treatment. I got better, but I let my messages on Etsy go because that wasn't my focus. My health was. And so there were a couple of messages that I took like a few days to get back to the people on. And literally I went on to my Etsy shop, manager, and I had a flag on there that said, your shop may have reduced visibility due to low response rate on messages. Now, mind you, I'd only had like 5 or 6 messages from people for that month, but there was an automated system that was monitoring how soon you respond to a message. And if you didn't do so within 24 hours, they would ding your ratings for your shop, and then you might not have the same visibility. And again, this was just another thing, like, why am I at the mercy of some other platform for an algorithm and SEO of showing my products in a sea of other people? And now I have to meet certain metrics in order for my shop to be a star seller shop, in order for people to see my paintings and my artwork and my products. And it was just, again, really disheartening to feel at the mercy of another platform and their decisions about me. So I reached out to customer service again, which again was not helpful. And they basically said, oh, this is, automated, and here's your stats. And I was like, I know those are my stats. I can see those. I actually showed you those stats when we started this chat. And still there was nothing that they could do. They said, just make sure next month it's better. They said, here, you could make these automated replies. And again, it's just a little bit false to me. Like, okay, so you're measuring me on a metric where I need to respond, but in reality, I'm not responding. I'm just telling you I'm gonna respond soon in an automated message. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I was really angry with that one, because I had an explanation of what happened to me. I was a couple of days late responding to a message, and that was it. There was no true human to make a decision about that. They just said, well, there's nothing we can do. Better luck to you next month. So that also really kind of upset me when that happened. So I started researching, I started talking with my accountant, I started watching videos, I started looking at the plugins, because I use WordPress for my website, and I started really trying to figure out, like, how am I going to make this transition? How am I going to do this? And it just took me lots of long nights figuring everything out, and it's not perfect. I still haven't figured out my international shipping to be the exact amount. Some of these plugins you have to pay for, and it's can be quite expensive for some of them. Some of them are free, but then you get the basic version of them. Everything costs money, right? And so I really started to evaluate, like, what are my fees like on, selling on another platform versus what would I pay per year to sell on my own website. And I finally figured everything out, and I ended up releasing my own platform, my own web shop on my website, which was already up and running. And I do want to have a disclaimer that I had a ton of followers, more than I could have ever imagined at the time when I did this a few weeks ago. And so traffic to my site, I had built my email list up. I have my social media. I could make posts on Facebook, Instagram, stories, all of that stuff to drive people to my website. And I ran a sale, a spring sale, getting rid of some of my paintings after I did my art shows and festivals, and it did extremely well, and that really got people to my site. Starting my own web shop also allowed me to link to through YouTube, so you can see my products. You can also link, and I haven't set that up yet, but you can get your website to link to your Facebook or to your Instagram. So there are lots of ways that you can integrate your own website into these other platforms that, at least to my knowledge, that I couldn't do the same with Etsy. And maybe there's a way, again, but I only have so much time in a day to work, paint, and, work on my social media and my web shop. So that was just yet, another kind of thing that I wanted to make sure, like, I'm not saying that Etsy is bad, or any other website platform that you're selling on. I'm not saying that it's bad, especially if you don't have the traffic to drive to your own personal web shop. There are lots and lots of, people out there that are just starting out. And I think that Etsy can be a great platform. If I had to go back and do it again, I probably would have started with Etsy again, simply because there is already consumer traffic there. You have more eyes on your artwork, your handmade items, whatever it may be, your products. And the potential to purchase is higher the more people that see your work. So for visibility and just overall general, consumer traffic, the website and the platform is absolutely, I think a plus and a benefit. It's super easy to use. It's intuitive. They take care of the taxes and they have their integration for shipping if you want to use it. So they have everything already built in. It's kind of like a one-stop shop. You just post your pictures, do your marketing, and then hope somebody purchases the painting. You click a button, it calculates shipping, it remits taxes for you, and it sends it off. So all of that is great if you are just starting out. If you don't have a website, if you don't have a platform to get people to your website, I still think that Etsy has a place. Do I wish that things were maybe a little bit different? And the way that they have kind of grown and evolved over the years, yes, but they are a business. They make their own business decisions as well, just like I did for my own website shop. So I just think it comes down to what's right for you. Can you take that period of time where you are transitioning off of Etsy and maybe onto your own website where maybe you don't have as many sales? I chose to keep my paint stands and my magnets on Etsy. And so I'm not completely transitioned off of the platform, just for those kind of cold consumer people that are, maybe they're looking for that specific thing, typing it in, and they may see my product and purchase it. I have lots of reviews on my shop still from there. But I will say, when I deactivated all of my products so that I wouldn't get charged the 20 cents per one. When I deactivated everything, almost all of my sales stopped from there. I think I got like 2 sales in the month where I was getting sales, pretty regularly, maybe almost every day, at least for the stands and the magnets. So it definitely dropped off. But sales on my website have picked up, and I can link those things now. So it's definitely just... It was a process, it was a transition, and it was a personal choice that I made based on kind of all the things we talked about in the video. It was the additional fees. It was the lack of, human customer service that could actually help you with something or do something. It was these badges and requirements of, free shipping and all these things to kind of funnel you into doing something based off of their recommendations and their kind of ominous visibility of your store, kind of ominous cloud that they always hung over your head. And then, like I said, the fees are a huge part of things. So again, it's not that I would say don't do it. I think it is right obviously, because there are a lot of sellers that are still on there. But for me, I just felt like it was time to really kind of polish off and finish off my brand and have my own website. And I'm really glad that I did, because it has brought me autonomy. I have learned a lot from the experience. I get my, deposits every day if you want to set it up that way. So when I make a sale, that money is instant to me. And I just pay the credit card and PayPal processing fees now instead of additional fees to a company. And I'm able to adjust my pricing and put things on sale a little bit more. And because I'm not incurring all of those fees. So for me, it was just the right decision, and I'm happy that I did it. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any, so you can leave them in the comments. And If you want to know anything else about the business side of things, you can always let me know. Or if you want to know why I made certain decisions, I'm pretty open about sharing those things with you. So let me know if you like this type of video. I will be doing a mistakes I've made video, and I have a few other ideas for those as well, because I feel like, you know, knowledge is good. And if people can learn from things that have happened to me and mistakes that I've made, because I made a lot, then I think that's a good thing. So thank you all for watching this video. I appreciate and love you all. Happy painting.